Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Heartland Franchise Guy, your insider's guide to all things franchising in the local area. I'm Blake Martin, local small business franchise owner, and your Heartland Franchise Guy. This is the place for advocacy, resources, and education on all things franchising in the local area, and it's a great place for any entrepreneur to stop by if they're just trying to learn more about the franchising field. Now, speaking of local entrepreneurs and franchisees, we've got one with us today, Kyle Kinstler, co-founder and co-president of Kinstler Brown Companies, correct?
That's right. Here I am.
Well, I appreciate you being here with us today. Thank you.
You betcha.
Thanks
for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate you. Well, you can thank me for that later. We'll see. We'll wait 20 minutes into your future, and we'll see if you're still thanking me, Kyle. So you're a franchise owner, a multi-unit franchisee, and an area developer within the Liberty Tax franchise industry, and as we were talking about before, really a corporate refugee, right? That's how you got started?
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit.
Yeah.
It was so kind of the same roads.
Very similar roads.
Coming to the conclusion that that's probably not the road, so.
Well, I'm going to have you tell me a little bit about your background, because part of what we wanted to get in today, and the primary unique topic of today, is seasonal franchise opportunities, because you have, for a long time now, been running a seasonal franchise in the tax prep industry. And we got into a conversation about, are there businesses that run on or have highs during opposite seasons that would be good for a portfolio of businesses.
Right. So I'm here to get educated as much as anybody else is, and I have some questions for you, and like I said, we are in a seasonal business. My season runs until April 18th of this year, because the tax season is
very definitive,
over with.
Right.
So my end of season interviews start tomorrow.
Okay.
So my interview sheets were handed out to all the employees today.
Yeah. So we're recording this podcast in early March.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Yep. So those were handed out today, because this is the time of the year. Because my employees, they since October, they've been like, well, I'm going to be in the tax business this year. I'm going to be in the tax business this year. You know what? In 1 month, tax season is over, and now they're wondering, what am I going to do? So so I've had those conversations with yourself about, are there some opportunities, some seasonal things, because we've just poured a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into our employees over the last 6 months, and I want to retain them, right?
Yeah.
And especially nowadays with the way that things have changed in our tax business, and I don't know, maybe I'm going array here, but just
I think this is all very pertinent to anybody that's in the business world.
But my challenges are this. So we just spent, we do paid training from October, November, December.
Yeah.
Tons and tons of hours. We do paid, versus a lot of our competitors, they don't do that. So we've got a lot invested into our employees long before they ever sit down with a customer. So they're very, very over prepared. And unlike maybe 10 years ago in my industry, basically you could get somebody and go through tax class with them for 4 or 5 days and have them up to speed in 20 hours and then get them. That's not like that anymore. So I think that we have one of the strongest staff that there is out there. They're the best trained. And I rave about our employees all the time to everybody that I see. And I just love what they're doing.
That's fantastic.
But they will admit this is the best training that they'd ever had. But now I'm like, now what am I going to do after tax season rolls over? What are those opportunities that I could have? And you're so nice, Blake. Every year you send me a gift at the end of tax season, and it's just like I come home.
I know what it's like.
I come home at the last day of tax season, and like there's something there, and it's from Blake, and it's just like it gives me joy, because I haven't had a whole lot of joy, because it is a grind.
Dylan, add him back to the list. We got to deliver. We took him off the list, but we got to add him back.
No, you can't. So that is joy to me that you do send a gift over and stuff like that. So when I met you met last month here or whatever it was, and it says we need to engage in those conversations and see what there is or what there might be out there.
Sure.
But my concerns are, so I've got a staff that's they're educated, they're used to being behind a desk or that sort of thing. But what's a good fit for that? Neat thing is about having a tax and a bookkeeping business is that I already have my back office taken care of. I already have a tax and a bookkeeping side of my business.
Yeah,
so that's pretty cool.
That's very true.
We're out there to assist any other franchises or other businesses that might need that as well. So that's what we specialize in. So that is a strength of ours.
Yeah,
but we still got to do the field work somewhere. Right?
Well, and you're not the only business owner, the only local franchise owner that faces these types of challenges, right? I mean, and I think you said it very well. And kudos to you for recognizing this, that labor is your most important asset, the people that you've invested resources in. And I know you care about the people that work for you. So how do you continue to leverage that to their advantage?
Right.
And to your advantage so that they continue to have a home, right?
Right. Well, absolutely. And that is a difficult thing because, we are used to, we have to lay off a good majority of our staff every year and then reinvent things and, come in the next year. And it's just, there's not a lot of those people that are around, especially with all the education that you just poured into them. How could you lose that?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And especially if you're going to scale something, I can't go in there and do taxes for all the tax offices that we have. You got to have people in positions to where they can lead, from those particular positions because I can't just grid it out because I'm only one person. So I have to use the people that I have that are already in our system, of course. So
right.
So it's
do you think the folks that you're kind of describing their role and they've got a level of education and you've put some additional training into them, are these folks that would appreciate a chance to get out from behind the desk every once in a while? Is that a reasonable consideration for different things they might do?
It's a real mix. I got into the tax business because I loved working with my hands.
Yeah.
Right? Well, after 2 back surgeries and a couple other, things or whatever it is, and I said, I can't do this anymore, type of thing. It's just like, it's just too hard on my body. I do love the manual labor, types of doing things.
But your body doesn't.
But my body just doesn't. It doesn't go along with me. So we get a wide array of different types of people that come to us. One of them being moms. They have some of the best employees that I have is that they've been, maybe they work for a CPA firm for a number of years, and then they start to have children, and then they come back home, kind of like Garth Brooks. He went home went back to the farm for a little while, and now he's kind of coming back out.
Right.
Well, there's superstars that are out there, and some of the best employees I've had are these, people that have been idle for a number of years. In fact, I got this one individual this year. He's been out of the workforce for 10 years, and he was in the Air Force before, and now he's kind of re-engaging in the workforce, and he's just like, man, he's great people. They got the integrity, the motivation, the enthusiasm to do the work, but you're just trying to, okay, what can I find for you to do next? Because you've got all the right attributes.
Yeah.
But, what other kind of skills could we use you with, in the off season type of thing? So
and the off season, to reiterate, you have a very hard and fast off season, which is April 18th, as you said. But so you're looking for other businesses where the busy season or a lot of the work to be done is late spring, summer, fall, right?
Right.
Because you start ramping back up in January. Late December, January.
Yeah, but we start ramping up, and they call it ramping up, or we start sowing the seed for the upcoming tax season almost immediately after this last tax season is over.
Yeah.
But that doesn't take everybody. That takes your leadership is there, because really a lot of my busiest time of the year is my off season. By the time tax season rolls around, me as the owner, my employees are if you get into the tax season, you hit the switch, and if you're either prepared or you're not. So you can't do much about it. Yeah. So that's my biggest thing is my off season is getting everybody all ramped up and ready to go, which is our planting season, they call it. So
I like it. So during that planting season, the obvious go-to in the franchising world when you talk about spring, summer, fall, are things that include outdoor services. That could be outdoor commercial or residential services. Now, again, the consideration is you're going to have certain people who would be open to some of those service or labor roles.
Right.
And then there's going to be other people that are probably a lot more appropriate or have a better skill set for the management roles within those organizations.
Right, right.
So when I talk about outdoor services, it could be, it could be whether that's a roofing or a landscaping or exterior services. You might have a mix of folks where those folks that are really interested in getting out and using their hands, right? They're more like you, and their bodies still cooperate with them.
Right.
They might actually like that role. Or like there's biting insect franchises, right? So
I've looked at those
eradication.
too. In fact, I think that's one of the Liberty Tax's kind of almost like a sister company called Mosquito Joe's out there.
Oh, yeah.
That was one of them. It's kind of started out in Virginia Beach, and it's starting to see some of those signs around. But they saw that seasonality of it. But looking at that, we might you might also be looking, if you're in the spring, summer, fall type of business, but then you go idle, you might be looking for something to do in the winter as well.
Yeah.
So there's that, there's
no question about it.
There's not just the winter, and kind of one of the reasons I got into it. Well, when I first started with the Liberty Tax franchises, I moved back from Omaha. And I moved back up to North Dakota, and I wasn't going to be a truck driver in the oil field. Yeah. And I just figured either I needed to go in death or taxes, because there is no, because I really wanted something.
There's always a demand for those two things.
There's always a demand, but I'm like, I'm going to North Dakota. Like, what in the world am I thinking here, going to North Dakota? But if I can go to North Dakota where it's so cold and I can have a lot of windows and I can look outside and I can be inside where it's warm type of thing during the winters, and I can work real hard during the winters, and then you can kind of come out in the springtime. It's fantastic though.
You're a very practical, pragmatic thinker, right?
Yeah, you think? So, I had to find something, positive in that. So, so that's what we did. So at least I had a good view of the winter from being inside. Yeah. So I did spend my fair share outside too.
I bet.
So,
by the way, you said you've got, folks who are you've already got your bookkeeping handle, et cetera. There are franchises in the bookkeeping industry that give you all the infrastructure. Now, for somebody with your kind of organizational structure, the question would be, do they add the kind of value that would be worth the investment? But those businesses exist. When you're a franchising geek like me, you dig deep into that hole of all the different categories that there are. And yes, those are out there.
Right.
So those folks that they want to keep practicing or implementing those same exact skills that they're working on with you, and there might be a really simple jump there.
Yeah, no, we do the bookkeeping, but we don't have that under the Liberty Tax umbrella. So that's where that's where kind of the Kinstler Brown come about, my business partner, and and he kind of takes more of the bookkeeping side of things. I take care of more on the tax side, operations, anyways. And but I mean, he does do it all. But yeah, it is an easier transfer over. The only thing is like, when you at the end of the year for the bookkeeping, when you're trying to get all your forms sent out, that's kind of when our peak of the tax season is too. So there is a little bit of a butting heads there when it comes to, wearing both of those hats at the same time for the same employees. It can be difficult to do. So it can get a little difficult with that, but we get it done. We've put on a lot of new employees in our system here. Like I said, last year we put on 9 new employees coming into our tax offices this year, and every one of them is still with us except for a couple for other reasons other than our own, that are with us.
That's impressive.
But yeah, that was a huge thing for us, is just that recruiting in the off season, and going to all these career fairs and going to the colleges and through the grapevine and calling your tax customers and and everything to try to especially the ones that were really good with people. We'd identify those as customers, and they'd think, hey, you should be on the other side of this desk, and type of thing. So we try anything and everything getting employees, but then we train them up and that sort of thing. So yeah, so I still have 7 new employees, plus we have the existing employees that we have. So we got a lot of them that are out there that are looking to keep engaged during this off season. So what do you say, Blake? Yeah. What do we got going on here? So I'm going to come to you, and we're going to talk some more about those particular ideas.
Fair enough.
But yeah, as a business owner, that is something. And and some people, they're older, they can't do a lot of different things. They're used to kind of being behind a desk, and some are a little bit more scrappy. They can get out from behind a desk, and so what are we looking at there?
And you bring up a really interesting point, because it's very easy to assume, whether it's the owner's role or a manager's role, it's very easy to assume that when you hear a business like, home services, landscaping, etc., in those businesses, if you're only the practitioner running the business, you're going to hit a wall, right? You're only going to be able to scale so far. And the reason that franchises do well in those fields, I'm preaching to the choir now, is because they want to make sure that franchise owner is working on the business, right? Working on the development side.
That's the only way they're going to
doing the recruitment.
The franchisees are going to grow, or the franchisor and such. So
exactly. So even in a field like a landscaping or exterior, there is a role for that person that wants to be more in the white collar position, whether that's the franchise owner or a manager, and they want that person to continue to develop and integrate their professional skills. And there's also a place for somebody that has experience on the service level and prefers that, or at least prefers that for part of the year. So I do think it's important that we remain cognizant of the fact that just because it's that category doesn't mean that they can't fill multiple skill set roles within that one organization.
Right. And if you're good with people, and one thing I always maintain is, I haven't told you, maybe I haven't told you this before, but a lot of my friends and my family will tell you, is like, I always thought of maybe driving an ice cream truck. And in the off season going.
Were you looking at my notes?
I wasn't, but
were you looking at my notes?
That caught me though, and I was just like, I think that'd be the coolest job. And
I was going to say shaved ice.
Let's go fire up the ice cream truck and go hand out smiles, and stuff like that in the summer. To me, that would just bring me joy, type of thing.
Allow me to read. Sometimes outdoor, mobile, and pop. There really is stuff on these notes. People think that I'm just looking important, but outdoor, mobile, and pop-ups. Something like shaved ice or ice cream businesses.
Right.
So we're on the same wavelength here, Kyle.
Yeah, you're gonna have to do something, right? So
yeah. And those can be, those service businesses or the mobile pop-ups. They don't have the same kind of, so the part of the investment you're making with Liberty Tax and helping other people make, because part of your role is to find businesses for other people under the Liberty Tax umbrella, correct?
Right.
Yeah. So part of what there has to be a bricks and mortar, right? And there's some build out and there's lease negotiation. One of the advantages of businesses in some of these categories, these off-season ones, would be whether it's a mobile pop-up or a home service one, you can run it from home,
right?
Or anything that you do need.
Yeah, logistics-wise, we do have one thing that we do have as an advantage that we have is that we do have the office space, and for the most part, it's very vacant. It's like crickets oftentimes. More and more, it seems like there's a lot more drive-by. We get a lot more traffic, year-round in our tax offices. But we already have storefronts there. So, and, when you have real estate that's sitting idle, that's not doing you a whole lot of good. So, can you share that storefront with an auxiliary type of business? What might that be?
Yeah.
So.
And I bet you have a clue or two of how to utilize that to your advantage when it comes to tax preparation time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Multiple businesses under the same roof, right?
Absolutely.
Following every single IRS guideline, of course.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, you got to make sure everything's secure, where it's supposed to be. And that's for sure. So,
Well, believe it or not, we're coming up on our rolling up the end of this episode.
Really?
It won't be the last of our conversations, that's for sure. Yeah, your business partner has to come in here afterwards.
That's right.
I know you kept saying that you didn't want him to get any time, but we got to do that. There is another side to the house of your business. So,
what other kind of questions do you have for me?
Well, I got the one big deep question.
What's that?
And there's no right or wrong answer, but it makes you think. And that is,
oh boy,
what do you hope your 80-year-old self says about you?
Well, you hit it on the, at least I tried. I did try. And if I went down swinging, if I ever went down, I'm not down, but, you and I, we talked a little bit before this interview here, like we were kind of parallel, like climbing the corporate ladder,
right,
and stuff like that. And it's just like, and I knew at the time, it says, I can't do this for the next 30 years.
Yeah.
I won't,
You had little kids.
And I had little kids or whatever it may be, and things were going great. And I was doing exceptionally well. I was still in my early 30s, and I says, I just can't go this route any longer, type of thing. But I don't want to see myself when I'm retired that I didn't try.
Yeah.
I didn't try to go out and do something for myself. I mean, it's not natural that not everybody is an entrepreneur, but if you do have entrepreneur blood, like I feel like I grew up, my father, we had a family business, and it was just entrepreneurship was in my blood. But yeah, there's no regrets there anyways. And I love it. And guess what? I've failed plenty.
Sure.
But do I look back at the failures and say, man, I wish I would have taken this. If I would have just gone this way, I would have been so much better. Or what? There's no regrets because I took that road and I'm living with that. Now I'm just going to make whatever I can. What's the next opportunity?
Yeah.
It's fun that way.
It is.
It just is.
And you have had, that began for you, leaving that corporate ladder, 20 years of success in entrepreneurship, helping other entrepreneurs grow their dream and a whole team.
Right.
And growing individuals in their professions and their careers. So congratulations on that.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah. Thank you for everything that you do too, as well, Blake. That you can provide opportunities that are out there for individuals. I've always looked up to you for that, and let's just kind of see what's over the next horizon here for us, and so I think we're going to continue to have some of these conversations going forward.
Absolutely.
For sure. So
well, very kind compliments, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being here with us today.
Thanks a lot, Blake.
Yeah. And thanks to all of you for joining us on another episode of the Heartland Franchise Guy. There's a lot of stuff that we threw into this episode, so remember, don't keep it a secret. Share it if you know somebody who could benefit or gain from what we just heard from Kyle Kinstler of Kinstler Brown Companies and Liberty Tax. So share, like, subscribe, and follow. And please, if you see anything that would be beneficial to somebody you know, let them know about the Heartland Franchise Guy podcast. We'll see you here again soon on another episode of the Heartland Franchise Guy.
All right.